everyone, it's Allie. Today I have a pretty simple sympathy card for you. These are not the kind of cards I love to make, but sometimes you do need them, and the last few months I did need to make a few of them. I generally don't keep a bunch of them in my stash. But so you'll see here I am using my Stampin' Up! Stamparatus, and I took out the foam piece because I am using a background stamp by Catherine Pooler. It is called F is For, and it sort of just looks like a dictionary page. I stamped that with Catherine Pooler ink. I used Twilight, which is sort of like a light gray. And after I stamped that down, I didn't want it very harsh. I just wanted it like sort of like a light background. So in some areas I didn't get as good of an imprint, which was fine. And then I took a little bit of that ink and I just went over it with my blender brush to make it look a little distressed. So then I pulled in Altenews Frilled Petals stamp set, and I went ahead and stamped my stem and leaf, and then I'm going to take the petal part and I'm gonna fiddle with it a little bit here to see if I can get it directly on there. Sometimes I just have a hard time lining up stamps or seeing if it's directly under there, and you will see I did get it a little bit above where I wanted it to be, but I didn't think it was a big enough where it would matter on the card. So I just went ahead and kept it. So I'm stamping that down there, and I did put my foam back in my Stamparatus since that is a clear stamp, to help cushion it. And I used my Gina K amalgam ink. I am just going to use some more Catherine Pooler inks to stamp the rest of my flower. It has 4 parts to it. And I'm going to do that bottom first, and I'm going to fill that in. And I wonder if I'm going to show it here. I don't particularly remember which color I used. Usually I do try to show them on video, but I, of course, did not do it there. There we go. All right, so I used Seafoam for my base layer there. And I'm going to go ahead and clean that off. My stamp chamois is through Stampin' Up! As well. And it's a purple chamois. I think I've talked about it in one of my other videos. It is actually a very thick chamois, and I love it. It works great. So I'm going to clean that off, and then I think I'm going to go back and finish up my petals. And for that one, hopefully I showed that ink pad as well. So I'm also going to tell you I use Neenah 80-pound cardstock as my card base, and I'm going to use a piece of Stampin' Up! Blackberry Bliss as my card base. A lot of my paper, my colored cardstock, is Stampin' Up! I've gone back and forth with being a hobby demo with them, so I do use a lot of their products. And you'll see here then I used Eucalyptus to finish off my stem. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the flower. And I flipped that over too fast for me to see it. There it is. Lavender. Sugared lavender. Sorry about that. I actually made this card a while ago, so I'm sitting here watching the video and trying to remember what I used. It just got a little crazy for me around the holidays, so I had made a bunch of videos, but I didn't get the editing done. So I'm kind of going back through these to try to finish them up. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the next layer there, and I'm going to wait to see Oh, good. I used Royal Treatment. That is a beautiful color. I really like how this color combination came out, and I seem to be able to match up a lot of her inks with my Stampin' Up! Cardstock. It may not be exactly the same, but it works. So I was happy about that because I have so much of it. It's going to take me a while to get through it. I did recently, though, buy some Gina K cardstock because I've heard such good things about her cardstock, and she has envelopes to match which I really like. So I did actually end up buying some of her stuff during one of her sales, and I will have that in an upcoming video on one of my hauls. So then here I'm using Queen for a Day for my last stamp. And then we'll see how that came out. Just beautiful. This stamp set, I wasn't sure how I was going to like it at first, but I really ended up liking the stamp set. It's very simple. I think it is pretty easy to line up. And it also comes with one of their mask stencils, which I really like. I bought it mainly because I wanted to start trying some of their mask stencils to do some other things with cards. So I will try to do another video in the future using one of their masks to show you how to use it with your inks or coloring in around it, ink blending if I can think today. So then here I went ahead and picked a sentiment to stamp on there. And I did use Queen for a Day so it would match the flower. I didn't have a lot of other black on this card, so I didn't want to do my sentiment in the darkest. I just think it wouldn't have looked right since everything is kind of light there. So I'm going to stamp that on. And I'm going to do a second stamping just to make sure that's nice and crisp and dark. And then here I decided that I wanted to add some splatters. So I'm just taking some regular black paint. I couldn't find any in my stash, so I actually had to go checking my kids. So it actually was just a Crayola black paint that I used, but it worked fine. So I used one of my old paintbrushes and just flipped that on. And then I decided that that wasn't working well, so then I was trying a water brush to get some more droplets on there. And that actually worked really well, and some of those dots came out like perfect round circles. And then I wanted to add a little bit of white to that. So I actually just used my Whisper White Stampin' Up! White ink re-inker, and that worked great. And I thought that really added to the card. I like how some of it was on the flower and then some of it was just around it. So that's it for me. I hope you have a wonderful day and join me again soon.